Hello, Awesome Soul here, and the return of Megabots update is finally here. Of course, this marks the return of the said Megabot, and they are bigger and better than ever. So, what exactly will be coming in this update? Because there are a few other things past the titled Megabots. So, I'll run through the patch notes, and then once I'm done with that, there are a few very interesting tweets pertaining to the power usage of bots, but I'll get into that, of course, after I go through all the Megabot stuff. So, Megabots have been added to the game once again. For those who don't know, they were in the game before, but they were removed, and then now they are added back in. So, they are only available, however, in custom games and play versus AI modes. So, those two are the only things that will let you run your Megabots. Perhaps we could see some changes to that in the future, but for now, that is all we have. But hey, custom games certainly ain't so bad. Megabots, of course, are free to everyone. You do not need a premium account. And now the highest possible CPU is 10,000. And as detailed in the last news video, anything over 2,000 CPU will be labeled as a Megabot and therefore cannot enter any of the regular matches. As far as weapon energy goes, once you go past 2,000, your weapon energy will not be lowered. So 10,000 will still be your max energy, regardless of whether or not you are 2001 CPU or 10,000 CPU. You will still have 10,000 power to work with. And any garage bay that is considered a Megabot will also have a little Megabot symbol as well, so you can easily pick them out while you're just scrolling through. And another thing I talked about in the last news video was they were hoping that the Megabots would be able to be uploaded and downloaded off of the CRF, and that is confirmed to be in the game, which is very good for art bot builders who want to build some crazy mansion or something. I don't know. Along with that, there is also a new filter for the CRF to accommodate the new CPU range. So there is a new tag which is 2,000 to 10,000. CPU. On top of this, we've also gained some new sliders for custom games. There is a health multiplier, which you can set to 10% or 500%. So of course, this buffs or nerfs the health of all cubes in battle. And also a weapon energy multiplier, which, just like the health multiplier, can be set to 10% or 500%. Another CRF feature, and this one is a pretty big one, you can now search for specific parts or robots with no movement types or no weapons. So if for whatever reason you're looking for an art bot that has absolutely no weapons on it, well, there you go. There are a few other CRF tags, but if you would like to see them, go ahead and check out the link in the description, which will take you to the article. Now, also in the update are some changes to the nano guns. So the nano visual effects and sound effects have been changed. Mainly, they are now just the green stream without the plus sign, which I always thought was a little odd. It looked kind of like a weird hologram thing, not really a projectile. On top of the visual changes, they've also rebalanced them, so it's more of a beam, I guess you could say, which is kind of what they say they're going for here. So, the new fire rate of every nanogun, regardless of size, is 20 projectiles per second. But really, that is the only change. Now, they have rebalanced all of the heal rates to accommodate for this new increased fire rate, but everything should be still healing at the exact same rate. And one more thing, they've also improved the team buff UI. So before, it was just a simple little up arrow beside the player name. So if your team had the up arrow, it was fairly obvious, but if the enemy team had it, you wouldn't exactly know unless you actually ran into them. So perhaps it's going to show up at the top screen, or maybe near the team section, perhaps. But yes, there are also a load of bug fixes, but like I said previously, if you want to check out the article for yourself, link is in the description down below. And there we have it. That is the gist of what you can expect in the update. And it also should be out by the time this video is live. So go ahead and check the update out for yourself. But yes, we can now move on to the tweets. And there is also something that I should get off my chest. I actually broke into the Free Jam headquarters and snapped this picture myself. No, actually, I didn't. This is from Mark's Twitter. And for those veteran players out there, you will know exactly what this is. This is a TX Edge piece. So, part of the TX line of cubes. And if you're new around here, we have been talking about TX cubes for a little while, but quick recap. They are a 3 CPU cube that are lighter than regular cubes, but also have higher armor. But obviously that is offset by the aforementioned 3 CPU cost. There are also some other tweets that kind of tie into that, but I'll get into that in a second. Because included in this picture, we also have a sidebar on one of the other screens, and that includes some of the elements that are in the game. So we've got file names such as chain gun, cockpit, which is the cosmetic cockpit. We've got cubes, we got the C6 cubes, the glass cubes, base cubes, and now the TX cubes. But other things we also have are boosters. There is a folder labeled boosters. Now, this could just be the thrusters, or it could be something new that we have yet to see. Speaking of something else that's new, the gyro mortar folder can be seen here. Now, we have had confirmation that it is going to be called the gyro mortar, and this is obviously the mortar that was teased probably half a year ago at this point. But it was let slip on one of the live streams that it is going to be called the gyro mortar, and now we have double confirmation in the form of this picture here. So yeah, that is pretty cool. Still no word on when we'll be seeing it, but fingers crossed it's going to be very soon. And a little below that, interestingly enough, we have a folder simply labeled Halloween. Now, for those that know, there was a special Halloween cube at one point. This could be the folder containing that, but it's not really clustered with the cubes, but I guess that makes sense because it would be alphabetical order, now wouldn't it? But why not call it cube_Halloween? I don't know. Maybe it's something new entirely? Or maybe it's a folder full of their Halloween assets. Or maybe I'm just looking too far into this and I should move on. So this tweet we have from Mark is responding to somebody saying, people are hyped about giving things back that were removed before. People complained about removing TX, megas, tiers, etc. Just reverting fails. And then Mark responds with, no, not really. Of course, referring to the fails that they were talking about. But we are bringing them, most likely them being TX and Mega, back in a new and better way than before. But yeah, that's fairly self-explanatory, especially by the new, recently released Mega update. The CPU on those are a lot higher than they used to be, and you can actually put anything on instead of the limiting factors you were restricted to previously. So what exactly do they have in store for TX armor? Is it going to be very similar, or are we going to be seeing a lot of changes to that? The next tweet we have is also by Mark, and he simply says, who's up for removing the power to CPU relationship? That's a very big one, because we've had this power to CPU system for quite a while now, and I think a lot of people are kind of used to it at this point. But I guess it does have its downsides. But I'm very interested to know what direction he's going to be taking this. Hopefully he will actually put out a forum post or something, other than just a simple tweet. Like, what exactly is he planning here? But we can kind of gain a few insight from an upcoming tweet. But before we get into this one, just jumping back to TX for a second to settle anybody's fears. If you saw the texture on it and you were thinking that maybe you couldn't paint these, Mark does confirm that yes, you can paint these cubes. Although it's going to be kind of interesting because, correct me if I'm wrong here, but the blue color on there were considered team color. So if you were on the enemy team, then the TX cubes would have a red tint to them. So you're going to be combining the painted color with the team color all packed into one tiny cube. Could be kind of interesting, I guess. Although not exactly the greatest if you want to paint your bot a certain color, because it's going to kind of be a little different depending on whether you're seeing it and your team's seeing it or the enemy team is seeing it. But I guess it doesn't matter too much. Now, jumping back to the topic of TX, we have this little line of tweets coming off of Mark's original tweet. Of course, the one saying, who's up for removing the power to CPU relationship? The first response is one concern that I thought of immediately. With no reason to build smaller bots, each and every bot will be 2000 CPU. And somebody responds with, you can still build small bots at 2000 CPU. And Mark responds with, especially with TX. So this definitely would confirm, or least it seems to me to confirm, that TX will be 3 CPU, or possibly 2 CPU. Of course, what he's getting at here is you can use all TX cubes rather than regular cubes. They would be lighter, and they would also be tankier. And it would also keep your bot's size down, because you would still be hitting the max CPU threshold, of course being 2000. But yeah, other things I guess you could do under this new system is basically pack in modules now, because they've lowered the CPU usage on them, so they're at a fairly wide range of CPU scales. So if you had a fair bit of CPU you wanted to fill up, you could put in a blink module. Or if you have a tiny little bit of CPU, you could stick in a power booster, or perhaps a window maker module as well. So there certainly are still ways of raising up a smaller-ish bot to that 2000 CPU limit, without having to strap on a whole bunch of cubes, for example. Or other weapons, because maybe you can't really fit on any more weapons. But yeah, like anything, especially when it's in a simple tweet form, which is barely even a sentence long, it is a little bit concerning. So Mark, if you are listening, I would love to see something put up on the forums, detailing your thoughts and opinions on this CPU to power ratio removal. But what exactly do you guys think of that? And what do you think of the Megabots if you've tried them out? Let me know in the comment section down below. But with that, guys, I of course have been the Awesome Soul. I thank you so very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care.